Councillor Richard Bearman, who chairs our steering group, and he's got a few words that he'd like to say to you.
Yeah, okay. Right, excellent. Thanks very much, everybody. And welcome, and thank you very much for taking the time to come out, particularly on a not very pleasant morning. I hope you all arrived safely. I'm chairman of the Norfolk Adult Education Steering Group, and what I'm going to talk about is a little bit about how we got to where we are for 5 minutes, and I might even mention the dread word Ofsted in my speech. But don't panic, there won't be much about that later today. It's all about looking forwards rather than looking backwards. Okay, so where is Norfolk County Council at the moment?
Yeah.
Corporate priorities for Norfolk County Council, as you see on the screen, there's 4 of them. Excellence in education, real jobs, good infrastructure and supporting vulnerable people. Adult education in Norfolk has a key role to play, as far as I can see, in certainly 2, excellence in education, real jobs, and probably in supporting vulnerable people. We need to work a bit more joined up with adult social care and with children's services about how that support comes across in reality. And we need to have a bit more understanding corporately about what benefits that provides. Whether or not adult education includes good infrastructure, unfortunately, in my view, and I'm a Green councillor, most of the infrastructure involves road building at the moment. So if we had some different type of infrastructure, then I might be a bit more supportive. But certainly 3 out of 4 corporate priorities, we've got a key role to play at adult education. The other thing about public service, you've heard a lot about people and communities, and more joined up working between the NHS and the police and other agencies. This is about communities coming together and one point of contact. It's what the councils are doing already with the district, saying, tell us once and we'll enact lots of ways. So we need to get much smarter about that. And people, communities and buildings to make better use of them, make use of what we've got, make better use of the infrastructure that's already there, as well as enhancing some of it. Some of you may have seen recently, Taverham School, mobile classrooms in a very poor condition. Partly led by the government because county councils are not allowed to build new schools anymore. They banned that under the previous administration of central government, and all new schools have to be free schools or academies built by private providers. That injects so much uncertainty into the school buildings discussion, especially now when places like Taverham are under pressure from more pupils needing school places. So what has Norfolk done? Reimagining Norfolk is about looking forward. It's about saving money as well, because that's the financial circumstances we find in. We do have less money, but we still have quite a lot of money. We just have to make sure we spend it as efficiently and as wisely as possible. And we have a long-term responsibility. I'm only going to be here for an elected politician. Hopefully I'm going to be here till 2017, unless there's a coup in between times and a by-election, which is not likely in Mancroft. This is my division where I'm standing at the moment. And so it's about what happened in the past, but also about what happens in future generations. The Council's 4 priorities include a lot of statutory responsibilities, and you will have heard a lot about that. And those priorities are built around those statutory responsibilities. So there is going to be different thinking. It's not just about cuts to services, although that's bound to come up in the conversation as well. It's about how we do things differently as a team, but not just in adult education, how adult education links in with all the other areas of the council. I'm sure you're very aware of that and already doing a lot of that, but we have to get better at telling people how effective adult education is at helping adult social care and children's and families and communities. One of the key things is the early help and intervention. You will have heard a lot about Children's Services reorganisation and what they've done in terms of early help and offering support to families early on, not waiting until they reach crisis point, but identifying those who are at need, those who are most vulnerable, and offering the help straight up front. And one of the services that help might come through is adult education for those adults who are struggling with families or educational difficulties and not necessarily had good experience of education themselves. So that's the whole point about the second chance skills provision. A little bit more about the political dimension. One of the purposes of having a cross-party steering group is to get that political buy-in. And that's something I've been working quite hard at, to make sure all the parties on the council, and I mean all 5 parties, are involved in bringing this service forward. It includes all parties now. We had a bit of trouble finding a Lib Dem representative, but we've got one, and he's just joined us recently. We also include representatives from the Economic Development Unit of the council and the voluntary sector. We have been meeting since this year, it seems a lot of water under the bridge, when of course following our adult education Ofsted inspection. We're not a decision-making body, we're just a steering group, but we report to the Communities Committee, and not only have we got that political buy-in, one of our functions as the steering group is to make sure we have senior management, right up to the Managing Director and the Director of Environmental and Communities Service, and the Assistant Directors, as well as the Officers of Adult Education, supporting the direction we need to go forward as a service. I think we've got that. We've managed to convince them to invest more money in the service and get some extra managerial support, which is quite difficult at a time when every other department is looking at reducing their expenditure. So I think that's quite important. We've got that commitment from both the political leadership of the council and the managerial leadership of the council that investment in adult education is the right way forward for this council. We will be doing 2 things. We'll be supporting what the current system is doing in terms of making changes, necessary changes to the service, trying to improve the service. We'll also be challenging them. We'll be saying to them, why are you doing this? How cost effective is this? Is this the best way to do things? And we've had some of those meetings already, and I expect we'll have a few more. But that's part of our role, is the support goes with the challenge. Some of the ways we're doing that is we are having regular meetings with senior managers. We are doing visits. We're visiting Wensum Lodge and we're visiting other sites around the county. And we're also regularly, I'm being called in as soon as, and I'm going to say the word here, the Ofsted team come back for inspection or the FE Commissioner come back. I'm called in to give the political dimension to what's going on in adult education. And I think it's really important that we're all covering exactly the same ground and going on the same journey. We've had some meetings with learners. The learner survey is an important tool for us, and other surveys about learners, so feedback from learners is something we will be getting more of. The meetings going forward, I am hopeful that by the end of the year we'll have a good understanding of where we were and what we've done so far, and also when we do get re-inspected, whenever that happens, that the political and managerial side will be ready. What I also want to say is that we're hoping you're going to be ready. We can only complete this journey about the changes to adult education with your help and support and your delivery. You are the key people in this. If you want to influence direction, you've had lots of opportunities and to do that, and one of these is today. Today is talking about the future, but I'm also concentrating on the here and now. We are aiming to get out of the current situation we're in, and if we can bring this service up to outstanding delivery of lessons and good delivery of lessons across the board, then we'll be out of the woods next year, and beyond that we can continue to roll out the service. The service has a good future, I think, and it has an essential future for the people of Norfolk. The feedback we get is they like what they're being delivered, whether it be community learning, second chance learning, apprenticeships, all the things that go on across this large and diverse county of ours. So I think it's quite important that we all work together to get that, and I'm very pleased you've taken the time to come here today and progress us on that journey. I'm going to be here till 10:30, but if there's any immediate questions for me now about what I've said, I'm happy to try and deal with them. Okay, back to Helen.